had the money for it and everything. Even the media's not here.
Isn't there a saying about it's better to ask forgiveness than permission?
Yeah, I've heard that many times from coaches, and I finally got tired of hearing it. And I said, no, it's not any longer. I'm getting tired of it. They'd always do something and then say that to me.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't want to hear that anymore. I'm not forgiving you. Why? What did you do now?
I
You get to
haven't.
get your wife a Valentine present.
The candy bar.
Or did
the
you get her a
peg, right?
sweeper or a iron or
You
Hot
got her a
water
candy
heater
bar
or
bouquet,
something
Ted.
crazy.
water heater?
No, I think this time I actually kissed her.
Maybe she would have rather had the water heater.
That was good.
I think we're live, Ted.
Kendra has some flowers still. You can lay.
That's right. You bought her those tulips and she planted them, I'm sure, in the yard, right?
You
He
know,
mowed those down last year.
Anyways, I got her hyacinth coming.
There's the record, Harold. Yep, she's pretty faithful too. She's usually here.
What?
the thing is, she doesn't get around to doing stuff, so the things just kinda, after about 6 months, they just wilted away.
After 6 months, they were gone in like 3 weeks, probably.
I kept pasting the petals back up.
Pasting them back.
Ornery.
You can tell somebody else that, I don't believe you.
It's possible.
Well, Ted Kevin said, I've got a rose that is dipped in gold and it won't fade away, so it'll stay
There
put.
you go.
There you go, give her one of those.
Who was,
It was February 2012. That's what, 48.
We only sell 2 or 3 a year. We usually sell about 2 or 3 a year. That's
Yes.
usually around Mother's Day
Oh my
or
goodness.
Valentine's Day sometimes. Yep. But we can get them in all
I
different,
can see him.
different
Well,
colors.
I will remember before the end of the year.
it'll come
but
to
I-
you.
yeah,
If you're like
yeah.
me, it'll come to you when you least expect.
Nobody wants to speak.
Oh my goodness.
Have you been on team?
Chelsea, you don't want to speak? Nobody signed up.
Actually, after this one, I was talking to her husband. She went, and then she.
Dale, is this the minute?
Yeah, coming up.
We had to come to
5
close
seconds.
or do a public meeting. So it was just one week. It was-
I'm taking.
There you go.
Good evening. It is 7:30, February 26th. Time to call the regular city council meeting, Washington Courthouse to order. We'll begin with Mr. Blair giving us invocation. Mr. Lynch will lead us in the pledge. I don't talk much, just occasion.
Let us pray. Father, thank you for every seat that has been filled here today. For each mind and heart that fills the presence of this room, we thank you. Only you truly know what we 7 are setting out to accomplish tonight. We have an idea, a vision, hints, and daily instructions. We have talents, abilities, and time to work. However, only you can see in perfect detail the end of every beginning, every project, every season, every life. Nothing is ever in vain, for even mistakes and missteps are used for good. Your righteousness transcends all our efforts and understanding. Forgive us for our pride, the pride that puffs us up, and the pride that threatens to unqualify us. Strengthen our confidence in who you have made us to be. Set us free from comparison in order to work together efficiently. Bless this meeting tonight, all those present, as well as the lives of those we will encounter afterwards. Ready us to make every moment and decision count. In Jesus' name, amen.
You join me? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, gentlemen. please.
Johnson,
Here.
Lynch,
Here.
Schultz,
Here.
Blair,
Here.
Hawk,
Here.
Hernandez,
Here.
Chrisman.
Here. Next is the approval of the minutes of the last council meeting, which was held February 12th. Any questions, comments, changes?
I'll make a motion to accept as presented, Mr. Chairman.
Thank
I'll
you.
second that.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Johnson,
Yes.
Lynch,
Yes.
Schultz,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Hawk,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Chrisman.
Yes. Next, Mr. Denon, do you have any communications?
None.
Thank you. Moving into committee reports. First on the list is Economic Strategies and Cooperation meeting, and I think Mr. Lynch, the vice chair, yes.
Yeah.
Oh, shucks, I was gonna ask Kendra if she wanted to read this. I didn't have to read two of them,
Well,
but
go ahead if you want to, I don't care.
you want to, Kendra?
I'll read it.
Go ahead.
Okay, the Economic Strategies and Cooperation Committee met in the lower level conference room of 105 North Main Street on Monday, February 18th, 2020, at 4 p.m. Mr. Dale Lynch presided, and those in attendance were Mr. Steve Schultz, council member, Mr. Jim Blair, council member, Mr. Caleb Johnson, council member, Mr. Jim Chrisman, council chairperson, Mrs. Chelsea Baker, economic development director, and Mr. Joseph Denon, city manager. Number one, the committee reviewed progress with the industrial development. The committee noted that USA expansion project. Number two, the committee noted that the BRE meetings for 2020 have been scheduled. The committee reviewed the progress with downtown buildings and businesses. The committee noted recent business purchases and grand openings. Number three, the committee noted the success of the recent Valentine's Day Shop Hop that was held on February 14th. The committee noted upcoming events that would be held downtown. Number four, the committee noted the downtown revitalization videos submitted to HGTV. Number five, the committee noted the positive response with Buxton's guidance. The committee noted that Buxton had begun reviewing prospective businesses for the State Route 62 and Glen Avenue area that would encompass the Hadler properties. The committee noted that other options may be explored in September regarding data analytics for the Washington Courthouse area. Number six, the committee noted that research had begun regarding opportunities for clients of the Board of Development Disabilities with local employers within the community. Number seven, the committee recommended that legislation be brought to council to continue the existing contractual agreement with JRG Consulting through the 2020 year. Number eight, the administration inquired if the committee had interest in meeting with the two entities that have shown interest in Fayette County Memorial Hospital. The committee recommended proceeding. Respectfully submitted, Mr. Dale Lynch, Vice Chairperson, Economic Strategies and Cooperation Committee, and Ms. Kelly Ford, Recording Secretary.
Thank you. Any questions, comments? Anybody have a motion to approve?
Oh, yes. I'll make a motion to approve the minutes
Second.
as read.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Johnson,
Yes.
Lynch,
Yes.
Schultz,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Hawk,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Chrisman.
Yes. Mr. Lynch, it's your turn now, financial
Okay.
personnel.
Thanks, Kendra, by the way.
You're welcome.
The Finance and Personnel Committee met in the lower level conference room at 105 North Main Street on Monday, February 18th, 2020 at 5 p.m. I presided, and those in attendance were Mr. Steve Schultz, council member, Mr. Caleb Johnson, council member, Mr. Jim Blair, council member, Mr. Jim Chrisman, council chairperson, Mr. Tom Riley, finance director, Mr. Joseph Denon, city manager. The committee benefited from a review of the statement of cash for the month ending in January. The administration advised the committee of the requests for reimbursement from the Ohio Department of Rehabilitation and Correction. The reimbursement consisted from unspent funds from the special grant fund of the Municipal Courts Probation Department. The reimbursement is to be sent to the Treasurer, State of Ohio. The committee noted that a supplemental appropriation would need to be completed. The committee recommended proceeding. The committee benefited from a review of the investments of the City of Washington Courthouse. The committee noted that 2 applicants will be interviewed for 2 positions in the wastewater treatment department. The committee noted that Mr. Jason Copas has been hired for the police patrol position. The committee recommended legislation be brought to council approving Mr. Ron Sockman and Mrs. Nancy Hammond for the Board of Tax Review. The committee recommended legislation be brought to council approving Miss Megan, is it
Do me.
Doomy for the Travel and Tourism Board? Thank you. The committee recommended that legislation be brought to council approving Mrs. Susan Wolscheid for the Civil Service Board. The committee recommended that legislation be brought to council approving Mr. Terry Fike for the Tax Incentive Review Committee. And the committee recommended that legislation be brought to council approving Mr. Terry Fike for the Board of Tax Review. The committee noted that 2019 CERB Health Insurance Survey was being completed for submission. And last, the administration advised the committee that steps were being completed to receive the group discount for the Bureau of Workers' Compensation. Submitted by myself and Mrs. Kelly Ford, recording secretary.
Thank you. Any questions or comments on the report?
I'll make a motion to accept the minutes as read.
Second.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Johnson,
Yes.
Lynch,
Yes.
Schultz,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Hawk,
Yes.
Hernandez.
Yes.
Chrisman.
Yes. Looks like next is reports of city officials. Mr. Denon, city manager, please.
Thank you. Water is in great shape so the weather can dry up and it can warm up.
I second that.
And warm up.
Let's see, it's Ash Wednesday, so it's 46 days till Easter, so you're heading in towards spring at a good pace now. The salt supply is excellent. We'll need to store some excess salt at the old service garage. And hopefully we don't have any need for that in the remainder of this year, but still you're not quite done with winter yet. We purchase salt cooperatively with ODOT because you get a better deal on that, but there are minimum purchase requirements. That's why we'll end up with a bit extra that will not fit in the salt barn. So if we don't use, if we still have salt in surplus, when we go into it next year, we'll ratchet down the amount a bit that we purchase on the next go round. Recent hires, we have Mr. Mitchell in the street department and Cody Aaron's also in the street department, and they are making excellent progress and enormously pleased with them. Cody Aaron's will be moved from part-time employment to full-time employment. He received a medical release from his doctor, so we'll be moving in full-time employment on March the 6th. Dylan Arnold and Alec Haggard in wastewater have been making excellent progress there, and we're very proud with them. The new siren for the siren that is at the end of Mulberry Street has been ordered, so we'll install that this year and get that into service and take care of that issue there.
Thank you.
Police, yeah, you wake you up. Police is now operating on the new software platform. So there'll be some challenges to that and a few bugs and so forth, but we have been making excellent progress with that and very pleased with that. And that's a major accomplishment for the police department. There's a tremendous amount of work that gets invested in that. The Temple Street Bridge project is being bid by ODOT. The starting date for that is projected at June 1. We've asked ODOT to come down and take a look at us with some asphalt on Washington Avenue. We've got a few concerns. At this point, nothing major. One of the things that a couple of us have noted is on new asphalt like that, when it rains, it all ought to be nice and shiny and glossy, and there's a couple of dull areas. We want to come down and have them take a look at those. All that asphalt was tested. You recall some of it did not pass test, and they had to grind that all out. So we're a little bit concerned. We want to take a look at that. Wastewater treatment plant, the work performed in the last 4 weeks. The septic receiving station has been demoed, backfilled, and compacted. We've excavated, compacted, and removed a quantity of abandoned pipe and random concrete under the footprint of the new maintenance building. Demoed and removed a quantity of pipe in the existing tunnels, removed grit from the drying beds, removed fuel storage tank and piping east of the digesters. Saw cut, demoed, and removed the dock, also near the digesters, removed at least 40 feet of unknown ductile iron pipe in the vicinity of the digesters, removed asphalt from under the footprint of the digester building, began the installation of dewatering. In the next 4 weeks, they'll continue to install the dewatering system and start the dewatering system, remove grit from aeration tank number 4, transfer sludge from aeration tank number 6 to number 7 and 4. Field apply sludge if the weather permits, remove topsoil and undesirable material from the clarifier excavation, which they've already started to dig that hole. Backfill and compact the tank removal excavation. Continue clarifier excavation, place and compact and excavate material at appropriate location east of the work being performed. Install under slab pipe casements at the digester building. Remove the 18-inch overflow from the northeast corner of the aeration tank number 1 to the tunnel that conflicts with the new electrical building. Backfill the removal trench and compact. Continue the process of pipe and redundant equipment demolition from the tunnels, which is a fair amount of the wastewater treatment plant. You don't realize that it's actually underground. We do have a coordination issue with DPNL that I believe that we have worked out, and I'll be able to confirm that in the morning. There are 2 poles that DPNL needs to relocate. Well, the contractor will actually put up the new poles, and DPNL will be in to move their wires, and that will continue to let us roll ahead without a whole lot of problems. Express thanks to Jay Myers. He is retiring from the Fayette County Building Department. Jay has been an excellent building inspector. We do residential, the commercial does county. And over the years, Jay has just been a wonderful person to work with. And we wish him well. Sorry to see him go. And would like to welcome Craig Breedlove to the Fayette County Building Department. And I'm sure that Craig will do an excellent job, and was enormously thrilled when I was informed of that decision. And that concludes tonight's report.
Any questions for Mr. Denham?
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I have one question. Is there a new secretary at the cemetery, Joe?
Yes.
When was she hired?
Yeah, we made that decision to hire her in December, and we moved her out there. Do you remember, Kelly?
I think it was just, what, a month ago, 3 weeks ago,
About
2 months ago?
3 weeks ago, yeah.
This year?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes, this year.
What was her name?
Mrs. Stillings.
Stillings?
Nancy's her first name.
Okay.
Any other questions for Mr. Denham?
Yes, I do. Sorry, I did have a question. Temple Street Bridge, it says being bid by ODOT. Is ODOT,
If it's a cooperative project, a lot of times they'll handle the bidding of it.
oh, and so ODOT's helping with that project? as
Yeah,
well?
they'll pay a good chunk of that.
Fantastic. All right, good.
Kind of very similar to the way when you rebuild a road with them.
Okay. All right. I just thought that was odd that it was in the city and ODOT was involved with it, so, I mean, other than, it's not a national, it's not a route of any kind. It's
No,
just-
that's a cooperative project
Okay.
with ODOT. They have a municipal bridge program,
Okay.
and it's conceptually very similar to like when you rebuild a road with them, so they'll have a good chunk of money invested in it.
Fantastic, that's great.
They inspect our bridges too, don't they?
Yes.
Okay.
Last couple of years.
That makes sense, yeah. Mhm. Okay.
Any other questions for Mr. Denham? Oh, boy, Mr. Riley.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah. Before council is the January 31st, 2020 cash statement. A couple things about this statement. The expenses, this month was the first 3-month pay. And because this year is a 27 pay for us, we normally have 26, so we'll have it in January, July, and December. So that's why the expenses were more than normal. Income tax for January came in for the whole 8% over last year in January, which is really good. But from here on out, February, March, April, and May, until we get all of them open, we really won't tell how it went until, because you don't know who paid when last year or this year. But the income tax was good for that collection for January. Gas tax is going good. I think that's because, of course, they they put in the new gas tax increase the state did last year. But also, since the gas price is low, that has stayed up pretty good. There was talk worried about if the gas got up higher that it would drop off and no one would get the amount of money that they said they would want to get. But so far with the gas price lower, it seems to be holding pretty good to what they said. Other than that, January isn't a whole lot. Next big thing for us would see what our property tax collections are, and then of course to see in May what happens when we get all the income tax opened up. But so I have any questions?
I do, Mr. Raleigh.
Yes.
In our subcommittee meeting that you briefed us about the money that we had to reimburse back to the state.
Yes.
Unused funds.
Yes.
Those were for probation officers, correct?
Well, that was for the special grant program over at the court that had two. They hired 2 probation officers. Yes.
Were those positions bid out?
That's the court. I have nothing to do with that. We have nothing to do with that. I don't know how they do it. The court is on their own on that.
Municipal court.
Municipal court, yes. I couldn't tell you, how they got with those 2 people or anything. We have nothing to do or say with that. That's up to the judge and whoever's discretion. Is that not correct?
The judge informed us who he had
Has hired,
selected.
yeah.
But then they have to meet certain
That's for them,
qualifications.
yeah, for what this program was, yes.
It just seemed like rather than reimburse, that they could have hired an additional individual to maybe help
Yeah,
the court system.
There again, yeah, I don't know about how that works over there, whether that's all the people that this grant allows them to have.
Okay, I can check with Vic Pontius then, I guess.
Yeah.
He'd be the one.
If he would know, probably it'd be Gene Ivers would be the best one to check
Gene
with.
Ivers.
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
But that's their program, they run it, we have, no say in it.
Okay.
How's it run?
I think you said something about the other day in a meeting that they have to be a certain qualification to even
They
get
do,
that
because we
money.
did ask
Yeah.
him, I did ask him about
Yeah.
whether we could move, because we knew, I seen we was having money in there, if we could
Right.
move another probation, he said, no, that program had to have these 2 and the qualification, I don't know, and like I said,
Right.
that is the court operated, and we don't even know when they're hiring somebody, till they come over and said, we've hired this person for that job.
But in actuality though, really, we're only paying back about, what, 10,000, 11,000?
Oh, no.
Well, you got the 32,000 or 33,000.
32 in, right, but
Yeah,
yet we're
that's
still
what I
paying
meant.
those
You're paying
probation
43 out,
people.
so,
So,
yeah. Oh, I know, I had a crazy little question. Does leap year have any effect on the?
on this,
Yeah,
yeah, not really.
okay.
Probably when about the
Extra day.
27 pays come in.
Yeah, okay.
Oh, just for clarification, how often do we get that extra 32?
About
You said 32.
every 32, the 32 from the state?
Yeah.
It's 4 times a year.
Yeah, so, okay, yeah, I was
Yeah.
just making a clarification that
Yeah,
we're
it's
still
40.
gonna get more. It's
Yeah,
not like
yeah,
we're really-
yeah,
That's what
yeah.
he said in the meeting,
Yeah.
though, they will
Yeah.
continue on.
It'll
Just to clear,
continue
yeah.
on, right.
Yeah, that's what I thought you said.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah,
Anything else? Thank you.
yeah,
Thank you.
thank you.
Mr. Pitstick.
I have no report, Mr. Chairman.
Okay. Seeing no local residents or taxpayers have signed up, gee, with a crowded house like this, I'd like to.
Mr. Chairman, I believe Mr. Gerber was late, but I believe he has something he wanted to talk to the council about, if it'd be permitted.
Name and address for the record, please.
Eric Gerber, I'm at 1218 High Street. And what I just wanted to come and ask early in the season before summer comes is would it be possible to get the bike path cleaned? Every year, probably for the last 2 or 3 years, underneath the bridges especially collects mud. So there's about 2 inches of mud there all year long, and you can't get through underneath the bridges, and kind of the whole purpose of riding on the bike path is to not be on the road. But the only way to get around that is to go on the road, because you can't get through underneath the bridges. The other question I had is with the exposed pathway, is there a brush or the street sweeper we bought 2 or 3 years, can't we run that on that bike path, or is that structurally not sound to do? Every spring out by the wastewater plant, it floods. And for the whole summer, you have debris, you have mud on that bicycle path. it's dangerous. And again, instead of taking my recreational money and driving to Greene County, I'd much rather stay in and use our own bicycle paths. So I don't know, and under there you can't do anything, you can't get any machinery underneath those bridges, but like the municipal courts has the workers that go out, could they shovel it and sweep it? And then maybe use a sweep sweeper or a mechanical broom to sweep out there by the cemetery pathways? That'd make it a lot easier for us to utilize what we have. Not asking for more, it would be nice to have more bike paths, but if we have bike paths and we can't use it because they're constantly dirty, it doesn't do us a lot of good. And every time it floods out there, it's a mess.
Probably is. I haven't been on it for a couple of years, got a bad back and a bad knee, so.
Mhm.
Last time I rode my bike, about fell off, so. Slipped down on
Where's
that.
software?
Didn't we have
We
a
can take
conversation,
that.
Joe, about replacing some gravel out there underneath the bridge or someplace one time?
You'll always have a flooding problem underneath the bridges, but we can certainly go clean those
Yeah.
off. And there's one section behind the cemetery or by the creek that you perennially have a problem with. We can look and see if we can improve that a bit. But no, we can go clean that off, that's fine.
Maybe we can check it from time to time.
Uh-huh. And structurally, you can drive a vehicle on those bike paths, so can you run the street sweeper or not? But no, we'll get them cleaned off.
I'm thinking whatever's the easiest way and
Mhm.
least cost associated with it, but it'd be much appreciated.
Well, we can
Okay.
take care of that too.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank you.
sir.
Thank you, Eric.
Mr. Chairman, just one point of information. In one resolution, we have a typographical error. We still have Tom's name instead of Megan's in two parts of it. We'll take care of that.
Okay. Moving on to legislation previously introduced. Item A is ordinance number 2020, second reading.
I'll move that we place ordinance number 2020 on the second reading.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Johnson,
Yes.
Lynch.
Yes.
Schultz.
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Hawk,
Yes.
Hernandez.
Yes.
Chrisman.
Yes.
Ordinance number 2-2020, an ordinance approving a joint economic development agreement with Jefferson Township, Fayette County, Ohio.
Thank you. New legislation in writing. Item A, resolution number R3, 2019.
Oh,
20.
20.
I thought that didn't look right. Sorry. Caleb, you missed that.
Well, it was not on the normal resolution.
First reading.
I'll move we place resolution number R3 2020 on first reading.
A second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Johnson,
Yes.
Lynch,
Yes.
Schultz,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Hawk,
Yes.
Hernandez.
Yes.
Chrisman.
Yes.
Resolution number 3-2020, a resolution confirming Joseph J. Denon, City Manager of the City of Washington Courthouse, reappointment of Mr. Ron Softman to the Board of Tax Review for a term concluding on December 31st, 2021.
Next is item B, resolution number R4, 2020. Second, first reading, I'm sorry.
I'll move that we place resolution number R4 2020 on first reading.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Johnson,
Yes.
Lynch,
Yes.
Schultz,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Hawk,
Yes.
Hernandez.
Yes.
Chrisman.
Yes.
Resolution number R4-2020, a resolution confirming Joseph J. Denon, City Manager of the City of Washington Courthouse, reappointment of Mrs. Nancy Hammond to the Board of Tax Review for a term concluding on December 31st, 2021.
Item C, resolution number R5, 2020, first reading.
I'll I'll move to put, resolution R5 2020 on first reading.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Johnson,
Yes.
Lynch,
Yes.
Schultz,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Hawk,
Yes.
Hernandez.
Yes.
Chrisman.
Yes.
Resolution number R5, 2020, a resolution confirming Joseph J. Denon, City Manager of the City of Washington Courthouse, appointment of Ms. Megan Dooney to the Fayette County Travel and Tourism Board for a term concluding December 31st, 2022.
Next is item D, resolution number R6, 2020, first reading.
I move that we place resolution number R6, 2020 on first reading.
I'll second that.
Thank you. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Johnson,
Yes.
Lynch,
Yes.
Schultz,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Hawk,
Yes.
Hernandez.
Yes.
Chrisman.
Yes.
Resolution number R6, 2020, a resolution confirming Joseph J. Denon, City Manager of the City of Washington Courthouse, reappointment of Mrs. Susan Wolshy to the Civil Service Commission for a term concluding December 31st, 2022.
Item E, resolution number R7, 2020, first reading.
I'll, make a motion to resolution R7 2020 on first reading.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Johnson,
I do
Yeah.
have discussion, Mr. Chairman. This is R7, correct?
Yes.
JRG, I found out, I guess, is a renewal, correct?
Yes.
Correct.
Okay. And I understand they also have a contract with the county, is that correct?
Correct.
Does anybody see a conflict with that?
Actually, from a coordination standpoint, historically, it's worked out rather well.
In what way? What industry or businesses have actually come in as a result of being in contract with this company?
Oh, we used him with that WCH molding deal years ago. We've used him with the USA expansion project. That would be a good example. Off the top of my head, can you help me out here with my memory any at all?
Other than that, I would say the industrial park, the utilities, and he played a big role in getting the industrial park recertified or certified and shovel ready.
And then Jim, we would have used Jamie with all the company that Sugar Creek spun off that does packaging. We used him with that. If I sit here and think, I can probably come up with some more.
Did he also help us a little bit with Jefferson Township on the JED?
A bit, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So it kind of works out, Jim. It doesn't matter whether it goes in the county or in town. We have the infrastructure, so usually it's win-win for us.
But if a factory wants to come in, let's say, for example, how do you know that he's going to push for our industrial park rather than the mega site out there in Jeffersonville?
Because we gave him his first job when he was still in high school.
I mean, I think that does it, for me, as long as it's in our county, it's what the client wants. So if the client wants the mega site, then that's where we put them, because that's where they're gonna be happy, versus the industrial park. I mean, I don't see it as a competition, I see it as them he's helping us all over. I mean, we don't have control over the mega site, but if a client wants to come and they decide they wanna go to the mega site, I'm not gonna be upset as a city council person because they're in our county. Ultimately, that benefits us overall.
I was gonna mention something too. The way our projects come over is we do not, when Jamie submits our projects, he submits for both locations. So, he is not promoting one over the other. He's submitting on an even platform based off of what each site offers. So if the customer, the project in this case, decides on the mega site versus ours, it's simply because their
Customer wants it.
he is not promoting one or the other, so it's in both, evenly based off of what each site offers, so. It's anonymous is what it means, so.
The closest that I can think of to a conflict over the years, and we were very well aware of it, is McKesson looked at another location in the industrial park, and they also requested an alternative location, which was the mega site. That's the closest I can think of to a conflict over the years.
You know, being the new kid on the block, and really not all up to speed about how all this whole economic thing works, I definitely feel that having Chelsea as our city economic director is important. But we're doing a contract here with a company for $36,000. We're paying Buxton another $50,000. It just seems to me like perhaps focusing our energy upon our local economic director, whether it's seminars or more education, just seems to me like it would be a better way to go than, because we're probably looking, by the time, I'm not sure Chelsea's salary, but we're over $100,000 a year trying to bring in business, and I'm just curious how much of the business is coming from the result of these consulting firms. I know a lot of the local businesses downtown are local people starting these businesses. Are there any that have come out as for Buxton, for example? Anybody they have recommended? Have we actually got anybody that's in place in town from their recommendations?
I worked with that Sonic business. We supplied a lot of information to local businesses.
Didn't they help with, well, it hasn't solidified yet, but Jimmy John's, weren't they involved in that?
Yes.
I mean, them bringing someone and them doing it all, that hasn't happened, but they've partnered with us in a bazillion things. I mean, like, I send downtown businesses to Chelsea. If there's somebody who's interested in opening something, I say, go to Chelsea and see if this project's gonna work, because she can run it through Buxton and see what the results are. So they're more of a partner than they are, I mean, that's how I perceive it. They're a partner and they're there for us as a resource. Same with Jamie.
The purpose of Buxton is the data that you derive from Buxton, which has been useful not only on the commercial side, but also the industrial side also.
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, that's a tool per se. I mean, how you follow up and you use the information with Buxton and some help from Buxton, I mean, that's a tool, and it's about how you use a tool per se, that Buxton is specifically responsible for attracting business XYZ.
Does the county share the feeling of mutual benefit over hiring JRG?
The county's been very happy with JRG over the years, and we've successfully over the years been able to make economic development very much a team effort where we're all on the same page and not in a confrontation about it. I've seen it where we've been more in a state of confrontation with the county commissioners in terms of economic development, and typically that is very detrimental.
So that's why we have to also pay this person in the contract, is because there is a spirit of competition then that is unhealthy, that has been recent. Is that correct?
We've been able to put that to bed several years ago, but I've seen it when it's been more competitive between the two entities, and that typically is not very helpful because it results in a lot of time being wasted, time and effort being wasted, that it's much easier when both sides of the fence are on the same page and headed in the same direction.
Yeah. Does the county want to pay for this then for us if they're so on board?
I highly doubt that.
Yeah. I just bring that up to say that I do also feel the gut reaction that Councilman Blair has brought up regarding the competition, that I think is just normal and inherent in business situations and dealings like this. We are an entity and we are separate from the county, though we are in the county. And so I think that gut reaction is normal. And yeah.
Yeah, I think you're on something, because the city and the county will benefit.
Yes.
Either way, we
Together.
benefit.
You know,
We'll benefit.
he doesn't make any more money whether he goes to the county or goes to the city if a project comes into town, I don't think, does he?
No.
No, so it's not a money thing for him, because he's making the same amount of money. He just tries to bring businesses in wherever the business wants to come to, as long as it's within the Fayette County. It could be in the city limits, it could be in the county, but it still benefits both of us at the same time.
Yeah, well, look at it like
'Cause
this.
it
If
brings in employment.
somebody comes to our community
Yeah,
and they say, I don't like the industrial park, are we willing to lose them?
yeah, just let them go.
I mean, lose them because we don't want to show them the mega site because we're competing? That's craziness. Like, you want to keep them in the county, one way or the other. It benefits our community
Yeah.
overall.
One more question comes up. If they would go, if someone would pick the mega site, do we still get the tax from that, a new business going in there too, the 50-50 split?
Not necessarily. I mean, the JED applies to a very specific piece of ground, but you can
Okay.
change that over time. The other thing about the mega site, you can view it as a rival industrial site, or you can view that as another option for potential industrial employers. And geographically, the mega site, interestingly, is much closer to Washington Courthouse than, per se, a good example would be than Honda is to Marysville.
Mhm. Yeah.
It would be considerably closer. So, I mean, you can look at it from either direction or perspective. Both of them are valid. In my experience, a cooperative relationship with the county on economic development issues is much more beneficial than a confrontational one.
I think so too. I think it's pretty healthy competition myself, so, because we'll all benefit from it, the county or the city. If someone goes either way, we'll all benefit from it.
Yeah.
I was gonna say, since I've been on city council, which has been a while now, the couple of the things that have changed the most is the cooperation between the city and county. And I remember many years ago, before I was even on the city council, when Bob Peterson was running for commissioner, he asked me at church one day, what would you tell me? And I said, Bob, the main thing I would tell you is Washington Courthouse is part of the county. Yeah, we're a separate entity as far as the city goes, but we're actually part of the county. Keep that in mind. And in recent years, I think we've done a really good job of cooperating. The other thing I would mention is, I understand why Jim brought that up, but since I've been on city council, the thing that people always talked about was, we need to take care of drug problems. Well, we've hired more police, we've done all those kind of things and so on. And we need to do more for economic development. So the fact that we're spending money for Chelsea and for this organization and for Buxton, I even remember there was a group of people in here when we were talking about Buxton encouraging us to do that. And you get information from these groups. It doesn't mean that you're immediately going to get businesses. Things sometimes take a while. But I compare it, I guess, to like our participation in helping the beginning of the recreation group that helped us to keep the golf course and things like that. You do those things because you want to improve what citizens have and so on. If after a while it's not worth it anymore, or you don't think you're getting a benefit from it, then yes, you can stop doing those things. And you would probably be wise to stop doing those things. But as far as economic development goes, I see, that's one of the things I hear now. more than anything else. Well, everything seems to be getting better. The downtown's better, and so on. And so I think it's paid off for the citizens of Washington Courthouse. And I think it will continue to pay off to the point where we have businesses that can't find employees. And so that's a pretty good place to be. If you have situations where people, they're wanting more workers, I think we're in a pretty good position there. I don't think that this organization, this group that Jamie is with, I really believe what Jim said is true. I think Jamie has, his family's here. I think he has a love for Fayette County. And so I think he wants the city, the county, and everybody else to do well. And I think he's got a whole lot more contacts through that organization, or company, I should say, than we do. And so I see it as a great benefit. Buxton has information that we could never get on our own. That helps the situation. So all in all, I see them both as good. Now, if at some point in time they're not benefiting us, then we should absolutely stop doing it. But right
Buxton
now,
was honest with us though and said there's gonna be time involved. It's gonna take a while to get, and then a company isn't gonna make a decision overnight. I mean, the company's not gonna go, okay, Buxton said it's okay, we're gonna be there in 3 months. It's just not gonna happen that way.
But I see why Jim brings that up. I do, and I think it's a good point to bring up. But I do think what we're doing and what we have done has benefited the city and will continue to benefit the city at this point. And so I don't think it's a bad thing to bring up. I don't think it's a bad thing to discuss. But that's how I feel about it. I think it's been good.
Because the big companies, corporations, they move very slowly. I worked for a corporation, we looked at a spot in 1976. It took us till 2014 before we actually took that spot. So it was that many years. They looked at it, negotiated. Every year we heard about this, and then finally they decided to go ahead and do it. It was the exact spot we looked at in 1976. They didn't do it till 2014. They do not move quickly. They do a lot of analytics. And if they had a company like Buxton working for them, they probably would have made the decision much quicker. But at that time, it was in Chillicothe, and they didn't have that Buxton with them at that time.
So
but, yeah.
Sorry.
Then you go right ahead.
So the deal that he has with the county, does his deal not extend to work in the city? Is he not permitted to do the same work on behalf of the county and filling our spots in the city? Or is every time he does work in the city, is he technically earning, so to speak, $1 from us, $1 in the county, as opposed to outside of our borders, is he doing that same work for $1?
The county retains Jamie for economic development services exactly like we do. It per se would not exclude Washington Courthouse, but at the same time, like our primary focus is on the industrial park. In a lot of cases, by default, the county ends up dealing with economic development elsewhere in the county in cooperation with whatever township or other village is involved also.
So would it be fair to say that if he performs the work in the city, he still fulfills his contract to the county because we are in the county?
Correct.
And he is incentivized then by our additional payments to focus concentrations within the city.
Correct.
So it's an incentive then, if you look at it as a dollar point, I would say, to do the work in the city. And so long as the county is not seeing that as us overstepping in any way, I'd be okay with it.
The other issue that you have is you could I could easily keep two other full-time people in addition to Chelsea busy with economic development related matters. And it would be useful work. Now, could I guarantee you that it would necessarily have an immediate payback? No. If you didn't use some other tools like Buxton and like Jamie and the services he provides, it would be quite difficult for Chelsea to be effective. And the one thing that I would find very interesting sitting here, although I'm very careful about this because especially in election season, politicians like to talk about, you know, we created X number of jobs and did all these wonderful things. And government has a role in facilitating a lot of economic development activity, but at the end of the day, it's private investment that does that. If Chelsea, you're not going to be able to do this tonight, but I would be very interested if you took the number of new business starts and adjusted it for population. And we may only be able to do that on the county level, but we may be able to do it on the Washington Courthouse level. And what we're doing by that measure would be quite successful, because in comparison to other communities in the state of Ohio, that number over the last year in particular would look exceptionally good.
I'd like to see that.
And that is something we have the ability to do we not?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Thank you.
Excellent.
Anything else on this subject? I think we're ready for roll call.
I believe so. Johnson,
Yes.
Lynch,
Yes.
Schultz.
Yes.
Blair,
No.
Hawk,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
and Chrisman.
Yes.
Oh, sorry. Resolution number R7-2020, a resolution authorizing Joseph J. Denon, City Manager of the City of Washington Courthouse, to enter into an agreement for professional services with JRG Consulting, LLC, doing business as Enterprise Advisory Group.
Next is resolution number R8-2020, first reading.
I move we place resolution number R8, 2020 on first reading.
Second.
Okay.
Thank you. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Johnson,
Yes.
Lynch,
Yes.
Schultz,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Hawk,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Chrisman.
Yes.
Resolution number R8-2020, a resolution confirming Joseph J. Denon, City Manager of the City of Washington Courthouse, appointment of Mr. Terry Fife to the Board of Tax Review for a term concluding on December 31st, 2021.
Okay, and last is resolution number R9-2020, first reading.
I'll move that we place resolution number R9, 2020 on first reading.
Second.
Thank you. Any discussion? Roll call, please.
Johnson,
Yes.
Lynch,
Yes.
Schultz,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Hawk,
Yes.
Hernandez,
Yes.
Chrisman.
Yes.
Resolution number R9-2020, a resolution confirming Joseph J. Denon, City Manager of the City of Washington Courthouse, appointment of Mr. Terry Fife to the Tax Incentive Review Committee.
Thank you. Miscellaneous, I'll start with Mr. Blair tonight.
Okay, I had an interesting conversation with a citizen last night who wondered if it'd be possible for us to rename Dayton Avenue to the Daytona Speedway. They said that there's a lot of excessive speeding going on in that area. And I said, well, I'll bring it up, and I see our chief's here tonight, so we'll pass that on. The concern that they have with a lot of children, and it's a tough place. It's 25 mile an hour. It's a ways, but then it kicks into 35, so it's very touchy in there. But that's pretty much, one other thing. Another citizen came to me today. And we do have the cease and desist for working out a Red Mile, correct?
Yes.
Well, they've been working there for 2 days.
Okay.
I got a picture, if anybody needs to see it, of a guy on the roof yesterday in his green outfit working. And they were there again today. So I thought that might be an area of concern maybe they want to look at to see what's going on. And except for that, I think I like Mr. Gerber talking about the municipal court. They're doing a very good job keeping our state routes clean, picked up. It looks really good. And I'd like to commend Mr. Softman and his crew for what they're doing. And I think that's pretty much it.
Okay, thank you.
You're
Mr.
welcome.
Lynch.
I thought the article in the newspaper about the police chief was very good. I enjoyed reading that, Chief.
Just don't try to live it.
We won't try to match you on that one.
I had this quote, I had people here who could see it. I had this before I knew what was being discussed tonight. This is my quote. Results happen over time, not overnight. Work hard, stay consistent, and be patient. That's my quote. And that's all I have.
Thank you. Mr. Hawk.
Well, I went to a foreign country this weekend, went to New Jersey, and helped bring some stuff back for my daughter and son-in-law. It is different over there. You can halfway understand them, but
But they said the same thing about you did.
well,
Different over there.
Central Ohio is the spoke of it all. I mean, we speak the proper English here.
It's
But
It's here.
another question I had, how does Buxton gather their information? Where's their information that they impart to us come from?
Great deal of it comes from when you make purchases with a credit card.
Your phone.
Your
comes
phone
from
information.
Your credit card,
Zip codes.
Internet activity.
hotels, I think, when you stay.
So
hotels.
they're watching everything I do then, right? So they know how to target me?
Well, they buy data from people who watch everything that you do.
Chelsea will know tomorrow.
That's the
that you
one
were in
thing,
New Jersey.
that's the one thing that I don't like about the concept of having a Buxton. I mean, if we've improved, if it's helped our economy, then I have to concede that. I just don't like to be targeted.
And you don't like the government.
No,
Because
well,
they're
it depends
listening,
on who's
they
running.
know everything that goes on.
If you
Depends on who's running the government.
Come
You
on.
travel anywhere, you work, you go to any restaurant, you use your credit card anywhere, you're being targeted.
You can have a conversation with somebody and the next day, whatever you were talking about, that ad shows up on your phone. No
Yeah.
lie.
Well,
It's
I know.
everywhere.
I know, and that's so I say, that's one thing I've got against that concept. Their effectiveness, I mean, whatever, it was there, but, so, that's all.
Thank you. Mr. Schultz.
You know, you're right, listen to this conversation tonight, but I come from a corporate background basically, and I tell you what, everything you can do, everything you can use, every tool you can get your hand on, you need to use it to move anything forward. If you're not moving forward, you're sitting still. And so you have to use everything that's available to you to continue making progress and seeing something being done. Just like I said, we looked at a location, it took us 40 years basically to end up putting a store there. But those are things that you have to look at. It's just any tool you can use is a good tool if it moves you forward and you get information from it, you learn from it. And that is, that's the way to look at things. Also, Ted, my grandson, I know you talk about your grandson all the time. Did you see the paper this morning? My grandson was in the front page of the paper. He was the one cutting the ribbon at the YMCA.
Oh,
The other
yeah, I
day.
saw it.
That's my youngest grandson. That's little Jack Hamilton, John David Hamilton, so he was the one cutting the ribbon.
Congratulations.
And Chelsea was the one taking the picture of it, so. But those are just things that I look at things differently because of that. I look at the way we can do things. I had questions about Buxton when we first went with Buxton, only because I wanted to learn more about them, because I knew demographics and analytics, and I've used those for years. And so I just wanted to make sure it was a good company that would get us that direction. And I think it is. I think it does work well, and we need Jamie also, because these are all tools we can use together as we see the downtown and different things around town. And things will move forward in years to come. So thank you very much, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Mr. Johnson.
Yeah, thank you to the Record Herald for writing such a great article for Chief Auditor. And I did have fun reading it. It was a very good article. So on both ends, good job. Glad to have you back. Told you that before, but definitely glad to have you back every time. I would like to, agree with what Councilman Schultz said about using every tool to your advantage. I know that, with Buxton, that was definitely, on the forefront of my
I
mind.
had questions, yeah.
It was and still, of course, is on my mind about things like OhioCheckbook.com. I think that's a tool, and that's where I came from on it. So again, like every tool that we can use to our advantage is, I think, something we should always jump on. Sort of like golfing, you never you never think you're gonna need like this weird club until you're in that spot and you're in that situation, and oh, I wish I would have carried around that one extra club. So that's sort of how I see it. It's just another tool. So yeah, thank you also Councilman Blair for initiating a discussion. It would have been a much shorter meeting, but we've learned a lot.
You get paid overtime.
Yeah, well.
Yeah, we get the same pay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Thank you. Ms. Hernandez.
Just real quick, mark your calendars for March 13th. It's St. Patty's Day Shop Hop, which should be fun because St. Patrick's Day is on the 17th. So it's the Friday before. And I'm looking forward to it because it's one of my favorite holidays, and there's not enough Irish in this community, I don't think. And I just make sure I act like I'm Irish for the day. So I do have a little bit, but not enough to really claim being Irish. But so mark your calendar for that and solicit your downtown merchants and have fun wearing green. That's it.
Thank you. Not to be redundant, but welcome back, Chief, again. Glad you're back. Glad you're mending. And that being said, we have really exceptional city employees in all our departments. And we tend to forget them sometimes, but they're there. And they had a good turnout at their little deal last Thursday out at the service department. In fact, the chief even showed up, even though he doesn't eat lunch. We felt honored. Another thing, Jim Blair had mentioned trash. I'm sure most of you, or all of you, know Dale Butler, retired deputy sheriff. He came to my office, Joe, 2 weeks ago, and he walks 2 miles a day, and he offered to pick up trash for us if we will furnish him the orange bags. And Ron's got them ordered.
We have them.
Have them now? Okay. So he's not gonna go off the sidewalk and win people's yards, but as he sees trash, he will pick it up
That's good.
wherever he can reach it. A parking lot, if it's trashy, he'll go in there. So, it'd be nice to have a few more people like
That's what
him.
I was gonna say, maybe we
Anyway,
can
Yeah.
I'd like to
focus
thank,
on him and then get some other people to
I'd like to
participate.
thank Dale for his willingness to do it. And gee, that's probably good news for the newspaper. Might get a lot of volunteers. Well, anyway, it'd be nice to get them. That's about all I have. How about a motion for adjournment?
So moved.
Thank you.
I'll second it.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Johnson,
Yes.
Lynch,
Yes.
Schultz,
Yes.
Blair,
Yes.
Hawk,
Yes.
Hernandez.
Yes.
Chrisman.
Yes, thank you all.